How's it going, everyone? This is George, aka Hypothetical YGO, and today I'm actually bringing you guys a deck profile from one of my friends. His name is Andrew. He made it to day two. He's actually, I believe, the only person that actually made it to day two in the group that I'm in on Discord. It's called Supergen, not TCG. We occasionally host tournaments in there. If you guys are looking for a cool place to just hang out, remote duel with others, and just practice, get tips on deck building and everything, help with the format, feel free to join it. But I'm going to let my buddy Andrew take it away. So, what did you play this weekend?
Infernoble, with a 40 card deck count, so no weird shenanigans.
Well, there's weird shenanigans, but we'll get to it later. So what was your record?
Went 9-2, lost in round, I believe 4 and 5 to Ignister, and then to Salad.
All right, cool. Well, let's go ahead and go, or let's go ahead and get into it.
So best normal summon in the game, 3 connector. Can't deny it's probably eats the most hand traps in the entire deck, and the most variety of them too. And this thing applies too much pressure on itself. And then hit the partner in crime, Dolphin. Really strong cards. They kind of say, stop this or give me all the hand knowledge. So, yeah. And then for the actual Infernobles, I play 3 Renaud, 3 Oliver, and the 1 Ogier. So I didn't want to play any more or less of them because I play more of a grind version where I'm able to not necessarily make the most threatening boards up front, but I'll have way more resource advantage over you and force you maybe to waste a battle phase board, but then I still have like 4 cards in hand. So that's my play style, is I'll out-tempo you post turn 1 a lot of the time. So that's how I've been playing this, and that's why this is at 3, especially in a high hand trap format where they're going to Veiler your Isolde if you want to Isolde for Dolphin to force the hand trap. And then you just tune your extender with this. So, yeah.
That sounds pretty solid, pretty sound there.
Yeah, the main idea is this deck has a lot of toolbox, and you can be really annoying and force hand traps early because of Dolphin. So you play around Dolphin a lot of the time, even if you don't expect it to resolve. And then 3 red layer. I mean, I'm considering cutting it to 2 because when you draw multiples, it's kind of awkward. But at the same time, it's just like one of the best starters that can help neutralize weird board states because it doesn't start a chain link. So if you're ever under the pressure of a schism, you can always special this. So Schism, they can't bring out Winda early, which is really nice. And then for other extenders, I played the 3 Fireflint. I used to play this at 2, and then when I played it at 3, you just see it so often. And it's like really nice when you open Connector, the Veiler, you're like, okay, Fireflint. And then you pressure with the Solde to see if they'll eat another hand trap, and then you're like, okay, now he's the Oliver in hand.
Yeah, with all the hand traps this format, you need to see your extenders.
Mm-hmm. And like a lot of the cards can just force it easily, so. And then 1 Gearfried. I considered running more, but just 1 is good enough because you don't want to draw them really. You want to play around searching it, either the OG or Renaud combo, or searching out the Solde, or whatever. I mean, going second, this is a great card to draw, but going first, it's a little scuffed at times. It's just really good, but I don't like necessarily playing more than 2 in the main. And then for my bricks, I play Gemba. I still play this because certain combos of this deck require Gemba, and I mean, technically you use CG Striker, but that conflicts with Red Layer, so that's why I chose with Genba.
Makes sense.
And then the Auroradon and package of 001. And this, I drew this so many times game 3, it was ridiculous when I was going second, so it was not fun.
Yeah, you just eventually sided it out like 20 times.
Yeah, post round 5, I started siding it up if I was going to game 3 and I wasn't going first, because I was like the amount of times I would draw in just unplayable hands, it was just ridiculous. And for spells, I played 8 equips. I played the 3 Durandal, 3 DDR, and the Phoenix Blade with the Living Fossils. So I thought plenty for 40. 9, you would see sometimes too many of them in your opening hand. It could be like you either, maybe you'll draw 2 Durandal or you'll draw like the DDR, and I think you just don't have the starting issue. So it's like you just can't get to that second warrior for playing too many. I never side any of these out. And I'll go over more why I run the DDR package versus running the fossil package later. So, and then for searches, I play 1 Rhoda and 2 Chalices. This normally I play at 1, but you'll see why I pump this up to 2. And I almost always side it out games 2 and 3 because it's like I don't this is the worst one to break on because you can't even send it for Oliver effect. So
Yeah.
and then for the Saki one-ups, I played Called By and Feather Duster. Called By is pretty self-explanatory. I'm playing a combo deck, and then Feather Duster is I wanted one out to mine, and I was expecting a decent amount of Striker and Sal, and I'm like, if I lose die roll, get a second draw this, it's like either I +1 or I force the negate. +1 or more, or force the negate. So I was just like, well, may as well play this as your mine out versus playing like a random Cosmic Cyclone. So,
Yeah.
and the Ignorant cards, 3 Dark Ruler, 3 Droplet. I did not care to run hand traps because hand traps I feel like are inefficient in a combo deck that is already really solid at breaking the boards, but has issues breaking the ultimateness boards. Those boards or window boards, you kind of need the blanket. I'm just going to ignore your board and I'm going to push face. And these are the kind of cards that do that. The other hand traps just don't do that enough. No, there's an argument to play certain ones, but in testing, it's like I'll take the game 1 loss if that means I didn't play versus Drytron, because I'd rather not. I would rather have these when I lose die roll to Drytron than not have them versus Drytron.
Would you like consider playing another hand trap, or would you consider playing a different hand trap for the format, or playing a different going second card over the Dark Ruler and Droplets?
I mean, considering I only saw 1 Drytron, I don't know. That's really hard. I saw 0 Tri, I saw 0 Sky, saw 3 Ignister, 3 Jingo Dogmatica, and it's just like my matchups were just not what I was expecting. And like I would draw the Dark Ruler, and it would be like, well, I drew it. Do I need to ignore something? No. But at the same time, what this does in game 1, if I go first and I open this, I tend to try to make a neutralizing board where it's like my opponent can't really break it, and if they do, I shouldn't get OTK'd. So then I can just drop the Dark Ruler, break the board back at them. Usually have Cure Freed in hand with that, so it's like my board stays solidified.
So you kind of like force a grind game there, and you just try and win it out.
Yeah, because when you run 3 Renaud with 3 DDR, it's really hard to outgrind Infernoble because you're just recurring all these equips that are going to keep bringing back Charles, keep bringing back Gearfried, get other cards that are effective at the moment. So it makes the grind game actually really good with 3 Renaud.
Okay.
Then for extra deck, I play 2 Isolde. Sometimes I actually wish I had the 3rd, ironically, but that's just because of weird board states. I'm on 2 Hulk, actually. I expected to get hand-trapped out the Earth, and I expected not to always open a connector way or a way to force the Ash early, but I don't know. Maybe my opponents just weren't playing hand-traps or they just weren't drawing them. The second one never came up, but I've been playing second connector for a long time. I will not cut this back down to 1 because there's so many games where it's like they'll Veiler this, and then you're like, oh, well, now I can't even do the Aurora combo. So having the second one comes up a lot more than people expect, and when you can make the second one, you can either, push for a lot with Auroradon, or you can make Auroradon and Access Code if that's lethal there. So, yeah. Then one Auroradon, that's kind of the bread and butter combo with Colt Wing and 001 shenanigans, and then Access Code. So, the only non-standard thing is the second Hulk there, I guess. So, then the rest is all synchros, so I play 2 Herald. This card's really good. Floodgating your opponent from being able to use a lot of their send for cost cards is really nice. So,
yeah, especially against Drytron and Tri-Brigade, and Virtual World too. Virtual World, that hurts.
Yeah, like I play versus Drytron, and one of the plays you can do with this deck is, if you don't know this ruling, Living Fossil will negate while it's equipped. So if they Dark Ruler and your Herald is under Living Fossil, it's actually not negated by Dark Ruler. It's only negated by Living Fossil, because you cannot negate something that's negated. So you can still later tribute for cost, meaning it's no longer equipped, and the effect will resolve successfully.
Actually spice.
That's how you play around Dark Ruler. That's why.
Nuts.
That's why when you see this deck list, I actually don't run Balmung, because I'm so used to getting Dark Rulered that it was like Balmung versions open yourself up way too much to getting Dark Rulered. So I'd rather just play a different combo variant, which focuses more on having 1 live Herald, which is basically the Floodgate Herald, and 1 Herald is the actual Negate Herald.
That's cracked.
So, then the 2 Infernoble synchros, pretty good. Not much to explain on this.
Yeah, get free pops.
Yep. Savage, more negates, why not? What was it? Round 10, my ending board game 2 was double Herald Savage Dragon, and I was just like, I'm not losing. it was just too free at that point. And then I play Power Tool. I'm only playing one because I'm not running Belmont, but it does come up in some of the combo lines that I like to use with some of the upcoming cards you're going to see, and it'll make more. And this is also kind of why I like playing 3 DDR, because this guarantees you if you haven't either milled it or draw one DDR, you're going to get a DDR for this. And my combo lines, I shouldn't say are necessarily known every game. It's just kind of there is some variance to it because of RNG, because of this and other cards. But a lot of my plays are a lot more easy tutorable through DDR, so that's why I like Power Tool in this. And then I have the Omega, but the main card in Crime is actually the TG Hyper Librarian. So, for those of you who don't know, this card is an old card. This draw card every time you synchro. And you can synchro, depending on some of the RNG of your draws, 5 times after you make a Rodon. So, drawing 5 in a combo deck, while also looping your opponent with this, because you've probably added a DDR off of this already. So you can loop this twice at least, and then maybe you added it back or you drew another one off of your own librarian draws or not. Kind of disgusting.
What was the most you've hand looped your opponents this weekend?
This weekend, I didn't really get to hand loop. A lot of people would scoop on the summon of Dolphin. They just wanted to go next, and then I broke boards a lot of the time, so it wasn't really. I didn't really hand loop people because like they had full combo. I'm like, okay. Anyways, Dark Ruler, break board. A lot of my matchups were very one-sided, I would say. Just like it's not necessarily good to say that from this deck, but at the same time, it's just the reality of how the results were. Yeah. There was some back and forth, but the amount of sheer power that Renaud, DDR, and Gearfried have all together, it just kind of forces a lot of aggression really early into the game. And the last card was my utility spot. I actually like running Trishula, Synchro, because non-target banish is really good. It's my main Dragoon out. It outs a lot of recursion plays, like versus Tritron this weekend. I hit a Gamma, the ritual spell from hand, and one of their last monsters on board. I didn't lethal them, but it still just kind of blasted their whole board away and their ability to recur, and I just set on a Charles. So it didn't really allow them to have much of a resource game at that point.
That's insane.
And more hand loops.
Yeah.
And then for side, triple nib, sided this in almost every matchup where it was necessary. I played the mirror actually. Never want to do that again. Really toxic. I lost die roll, but I still won. So I'm proud of that. Good card. That's all I really got to say about Nibiru. It's really good when you know how to use it properly. Sometimes it's a little hard to read when it is, but like one of my favorite things about this card, it reads, if you have Dolphin, you can hit the other Nibiru out of their hand. Because you're checking out your own Nibiru attack.
Yeah.
So, best card of the weekend. I kept trolling every Mr. player and the one Drytron player I played. It was really satisfying. Not for them, but it was really funny.
It's for you.
I sided 3 Godara. I never drew it, but I was happy to have it in the side. That's the thing. I would have liked to have used it once, maybe, but at the same time, I just happened to draw one of these two instead. So it's like at the same time, I don't really mind just having the third. I wanted an option that's like, hey, you didn't draw a hand trap, draw for turn. If it's Godara, it's like, oh, maybe it's there to rescue you from the bad situation. So, and it's also the reason why this one is like I respect the barrier statue lock because it's not fun. And the last 3 ofs were 3 Twin Twisters. Back row's bad. It's cheating. Let me play the game.
Would you consider something like Cosmic over a Twin?
I have too many cards that recycle with themselves or can like re-equip themselves as the Infernobles. So it's like, Cosmic is weird. It's like it's good, but when people are actually siding Lancia for me, it's kind of bad because they see, oh, he's using Phoenix Blade 4 times on turn 1. It's like, okay, they're gonna side Lancia for me because they think it's all based around Phoenix Blade. It just happens to be I can adjust to it, but
okay.
Yeah, and then for the 3 1-ofs, I hate this card. But Konami, can you just ban this? And you can also ban this. I don't like either of these in the game. I'm not gonna not play them, but ban them both. Like,
IO is at least a little bit more fair than Red Reboot. Red Reboot literally says IOTK.
So that game I mentioned with Double Herald Savage, it was with IO set too. So.
Oh.
There's no way he was playing the game.
Yeah,
I mean, this
there's
card's
nothing
just
you could do under that.
in the world where combo decks don't exist. This card can be legal. In a world where combo decks exist, this card cannot be legal.
Yeah.
Personal thoughts. I don't think I ever drew this, but I rarely cited it because if people blind scooped, I didn't cite and reboot blindly. I would rather cite and twin, just to make sure that if if it's striker, I want the reactivity of having a quick play. So, and the last card that I never saw, I cited and going first was Judgment. Literally had a 15th slot, and I was like, just saying no is pretty good. I didn't know what else I wanted at the time. The only other card I think I would replace it with would be a second Gear Freed for when I'm going second versus not, versus exactly not Drytron. Just to have another board breaker, basically.
Would you have considered like a Pankratops or something like that?
Pank is nice in testing, but like Gear Freed actually breaks the board and can stabilize your board more consistently. That's the thing, because like the issue with is like Red Layer conflicts a lot of the time with Pank. Sure, you can shotgun the Pank, but it's like I don't really like shotgunning cards unless it's like Feather Duster or the Storms, or sorry, not Storms, the Twin Twisters. I like doing the more reactive. Let's figure out what's going on. Let's play on my pace, which is really fast, and other decks don't like that sometimes. So, yeah, I mean, the deck's very. I play very toolbox and reactive. I don't necessarily try to go. It's not that I slow the game down, is that I force them to react to my board immediately or set up lethal, because Charles and Aurora not targeting for follow-up pops is really strong.
Yeah.
And I'm happy we didn't play with what's that new set, King's Court, because this deck gets slightly worse because of that new Super Poly target.
Oh yeah, so, I forgot there was even a Super Poly target in that set.
So. Well, it's only for Warriors.
Oh yeah, that's right.
But it's only for Warriors of different attributes, so you can't get rid of the Infernobles, but you can get rid of Soul Day target usually.
A Soul Day plus like an Infernoble or something like that.
Yeah, and by the way, I'm almost always summoning Gemba. Unless I have a tuner extender, then I'll deliberately try to summon the Dolphin to make people mad.
Okay. I can understand that one.
And then on the other interactions that are actually kind of important for people to know, Connector contribute himself. So sometimes if you have the tuner extender, you can just summon another Connector from deck to deck thin, and then try to revive a Dolphin. Yeah. To hand up again. So, yeah, there's a lot of options. I think I like this deck because it's so versatile, and its ability to react to almost everything is. Sure, you're gonna have your bad matchups when you draw your board breakers versus like Salad, but like you take the risk because you don't want to lose to Drytron or the Mirror. So
yeah, I think it's just lose to certain decks. This format push drop puts out stuff like Sure Egg whenever they summon it off of Revolt, and it does a lot more. So.
And that was like one of the other things. Like I was having issues with mid-turn established monsters with this deck, and that's why I was like, well, Droplets is just too good. Opponents can't respond, and chain blocking with it is so nice. So.
All right. Well, cool. Thank you for coming on and showing your deck profile. Anyone who's interested in playing with him or playing with me at any point, feel free to join Superjet, not TCG, down below, and I will also have a Dueling Book link to the deck list if you want to try it on Dueling Book. Anyway, thanks for coming on, Andrew.
Yep.
Have a great day, everyone.